All right. So basically for this episode, I wanted to pick sides, basically, in this battle of, just put it frank, right and left, or Christians versus non-Christians, God-fearing people versus atheists. It's important to pick sides in all of this. Jesus did not want us to be people that just sat around and did nothing about politics. Jesus was involved with politics himself. I mean, when he was condemned on the cross, he didn't deserve that death, but he went through the whole process anyway. He respected the law, and that's part of everything that we're going to talk about on this show regularly. People want to argue, okay? Christianity, they want to say that has nothing to do with government. It needs to stay away, in fact. Separation of church and state. Okay, well, listen. When we set up laws in our land, what is the intention for those laws? We have to get back to defining everything. So what are the intentions for the laws? Well, it's to uphold life. It's to protect life. Protect life because we all agree that life is better than death. That is a basic principle that all of us can understand to the simplest degree, really. Thinking about it like this. Life versus death. So everything either upholds life or downplays it in one way or the other. So when we invent laws, so like speed limits, for example, what are the speed limits designed for? It's to keep your speed at a certain level to prevent and reduce risk. So risk for what? Risk for dying, risk for crashing. Again, upholding life. And when our laws say that there's, murder is illegal, that is upholding life. So anyway, you go through all the laws, everything really kind of boils down to that. And my point is that the morality that we get from making these decisions, the morality that's behind the decisions of all of these laws and how we operate as a society comes from God himself. I got into an argument yesterday just about the Bible and where it came from and really who has the authority to interpret it. And it didn't get that far, but basically there's a strong argument, or it's not a strong argument, it's a prominent argument, a common argument, if you will, that the Catholic Church has nothing to do with the Bible. The Catholic Church has nothing to do with true Christianity, and the Catholics are just people, another sect of Christians that took everything out of context. Okay, well let me present this to you. Who were the first Christians? Jesus himself. This was an argument. People said, well, there wasn't Catholics in Jesus' time. Of course there wasn't. What are you talking about? Of course there wasn't. Jesus himself was the reason for the church, for the new church, for the fulfillment of the Jewish law. Jesus himself was a Jew. The apostles, Peter, Andrew, James, John, when he recruited them, they were Jews. They knew of the Jewish tradition, the Jewish laws. Jesus came not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. So that happens all throughout history. You look back at the Old Testament. I mean, Moses wasn't a particular Jew. You have to understand all of it from the perspective of just entering into life. We do not pick when we enter life. We are here, we are born, we didn't choose this, but we are here. So there's laws of the land. God, again, I've used this in the last video. How does God orchestrate or articulate his thoughts and his love for us? Well, this is his medium. This is his pen and paper. So he put us into this world, and it's for us to kind of navigate what is God and what isn't, and stay away from what isn't. I mean, that's the whole story of the Garden of Eden. We were told what to do and what not to do. It's always been that way. Moses was told what to do and what not to do. The 10 Commandments came from Moses. You go all the way to Jesus, right? Jesus is the center of our history, the center of the Bible, the center of everything. People want to argue, well, the Bible consists of books that were already written, and it's not that the Bible put it all together. It's that these books already existed, so therefore it's not from the Catholic Church that we even have the Bible. That's just all. It's all people don't understand the history because of course the Catholic Church at that time when they were putting it together didn't write it all out, write all the books. It's not. They put it all together with a long and involving the Holy Spirit, a long process involving the Holy Spirit to put all of this together to actually say that this is God's word. And it's not that we came up with that per se. we're acting in accordance with God. It's how Moses did things, it's how Abraham did things, it's how David did things, it's how Solomon did things. I mean, listen, we're humans, we're going to fail. Moses failed, Abraham failed, all these people failed, but they kept going. And they kept trying to do what God told them to do, and it works out for them. So what I'm trying to get at, I know I'm ranting a little bit. The Bible was put together. Jesus came into our lives 2,000 years ago and saved us from our sins. And all of history points to that moment. Why did it have to happen then? There are some kind of understandings around that, but we really are never going to know the exact answer for all of this. It's just that we see the world how it is, okay? You break it down. The science, the math, the everything, technology, biology, everything. You bring it all together, you kind of study it all, and then you relate the metaphysical world, because there is the physical world and then there's the metaphysical world. People think that one or the other is more important, but it's very important together. You come to the conclusion that God intended it to be that way, intended you to live in this life, but also prepare for the next life, because this life will fade. We will all die. We will all return to dust. So the Bible, why is the Bible important? Why is it important that the Catholic Church even founded it? Well, you wouldn't have what we call the Bible today. You would not have what we call the Bible today if it were not for the Catholic Church. I'm sure, people are going to argue too that the Eastern Orthodox started all this too. It was part of the same freaking church, man. People don't know that history too, of the schism of the church. It's insane how much people want to just fight the Catholic Church, but they don't want to dive deep into the history of it all. They just want to cling to some kind of simplistic justification for whatever opinion they have. The first Christians, well, I did want to say this. The first Christians, okay, Jesus dies, right? We know the stories, right, of all of that up until the moment where he dies, right? And Peter, James, and John, and Andrew, these people, the apostles, I think it's accounted that all of them were martyred. They were all crucified, I think, in some way or another. They were all murdered, at least. They were all martyred for their faith. Why would they do that for something that isn't real? They knew this man. They knew that man. Why would they do that if it wasn't true? And I don't think that's what we're arguing, but it's important to know that these people, and if Jesus said that Peter is the rock, that he's going to build his church, I would take all of that seriously. These people knew him. These people believed him so much to where they did insane things. They built people up. They created this church, a church that had no real first structure. That's why it wasn't called the Catholic Church per se in name at that time. But those were the first Christians. There was only one Christian. How else does that work? Think about it. How else does that work? Jesus is here. He tells us how to live. People follow him. They are called disciples by him. And he tells us to do all of this in remembrance of him. He's doing it all perfectly, like no man on earth has ever done it. And we still have stuff to complain about. He did all that, set up the church. And so the people around him had to continue that in an orderly fashion, in some type of organized fashion. It evolves again. You can go back to the church history, and it goes to what it is today, the Catholic Church. So when you look at all these type of things, when you look at what things are for what it is, you have to dive deep into not only the philosophy of it all, but the history, and put it all together for yourself. Pray about it. Don't stop on one point. Don't stop. People listen to one thing and it's like it supports their argument or whatever, and they just oh yeah, that's it. Why stop there? I mean, it's not worth it. It's not. If you're wrong about the Catholic Church, it's not worth it. This is not something to be worth wrong about. And so there's a lot of my points there. And to bring it into current events, because what I was starting with this all off with was picking sides. It's important to pick the Catholicism, the Catholic faith, over other Christian denominations. But you don't have to be Catholic to get to You don't have to be Catholic to get to heaven. But that doesn't mean that this isn't the fulfillment of the truth. And that is the idea. Can you do math problems without knowing even what multiplication and addition and subtraction and division is? In a way, yes. You can count apples and you can say, this is 2 apples and I'm putting 2 more apples and I know that I have 4. That is something that is intuitive, that you do without even acknowledging that it is math. It's the same thing with Catholicism. Catholicism is the name for how we organize our spiritual life and our spiritual being. It's also physical. God, God, if God said we were just spiritual beings and that our bodies were traps, like Gnosticism preaches that the body doesn't matter and it's just something that we need to escape from, then God would not have become man in Jesus himself. And it's all throughout the scriptures that Jesus established the sacraments. He acknowledged all the sacraments of what we practice today in the Catholic Church and told them to bring them to union with him. And so that's an important side to pick. But to switch gears, it's also important to pick who you're going to be on politically, what side you're going to be on politically. Why is it important? Because, like I said in a previous video, if you're not focused on each other, if we're not focused on each other as a whole and humanity as a whole, and trying to help each other, not prove each other right and wrong, but actually help, which means implementing some harsh love sometimes, then if we're not doing those things, we're undermining that. We're undermining humanity. So look at this. This is just an example. I was just searching current event topics, right? Just to kind of get some ideas of what I wanted to talk about with this short little segment. I'm not going to go too much longer. Black Lives Matter came up. Look at this. I didn't do anything. This is just on Google. I just looked under Black Lives Matter, assisted suicide, atheism, bilingual education, biofuels, Black Lives Matter, border security, capital punishment, censorship. Oh yeah. See, like, my point is, let's see what Catholicism is. Okay, let's see what Catholicism, their topics are. Or should we go to conservatism? Should we keep it on the we should keep it on the politics side of things. Conservatives ideas. Oh my gosh. Tradition and order, limited government, individual liberty and property rights, fiscal responsibility, strong national defense, human imperfection. See, okay, so like that is one of the biggest differences between conservatism and liberalism, is the difference between how you think of yourself. Do we think that we're flawed? Do we think we're perfect? Liberalism thinks that we're perfect in a sense. Liberals want to say that you can do whatever you want, that it doesn't really matter because you should just be happy. Which is kind of going back to Gnosticism in a way. If you know what Gnosticism is, you know that it's pretty close to what liberalism is today. And that just doesn't work. It's not true. It's just not true. Conservatism. Now, the reason I bring this up, I may not be full conservative. I am Catholic first and foremost. So what conservatism does for me, though, is uphold and conserve traditional values that, again, we were founded on Christian morals. What I was saying at the beginning of this too was we are founded on certain morals and laws of the land, again, the speed limit thing, to uphold life. And if we don't have that in mind with everything that we do, we get ideologies like the BLM stuff, that where assisted suicide is okay. Like, what are you talking about? So anyway, that's just a little bit about what I was going to talk about today. Just a little deep dive on picking sides. So let's look at this. This is from Turning Point USA. This is liberals versus conservatives kind of breakdown here. And this is 100% accurate. I mean, if you know anything about current events and politics right now, you know that what this says is pretty accurate. So look, I'm going to pull it up on stream. Make sure it's out of my face. Okay. Liberals favor the elite. So, and this is what mainstream will do too. CNN, Fox News, some of the fake people that get on there and preach the fake news, they like to say it's the other way around. They like to say conservatives are for the elites, like Trump and Elon and all these people. You're just as bad as whatever you say we are. Well, again, what are you focused on? What are you focused on? What are you focused on? Good morals or not? And we're not perfect either. We are not perfect. So to put Trump or Elon or any of these people on a pedestal like they're Jesus is just false to begin with. It's not something that I believe in. It's not something that a lot of conservatives or Republicans believe in either. Maybe some of them do, and they're fucking crazy. Okay, excuse my language. But liberals seek to subjugate. Conservatives seek to liberate. Liberals seek to divide, seek to unite. So you can see kind of like it's just black and white with what the ideology is. Now, why is this more true than what people will try to lead you to believe? because this is a overall kind of dissection of the psychology of it. So we're not looking at what they say they believe. We're looking at what they do, looking at what they are acting like. You can say one thing, but you can act a whole different way. I mean, they promote fear all the time. They want to say that January 6th was the worst day in history. The January 6th was the worst day in American history. That was all the Democrats' fault. It's coming out right now. The FBI director right now is unveiling a lot of that chaos right now. 5 years later, that's how insane that sometimes it just takes a long time. Sometimes it's really insane. It takes that long. But 5 years of these people, there was a lot of people that went to prison, Republicans that went to prison for, and this is what I'm talking about. The FBI director is now unveiling that there was FBI agents there on the floor, probably up to 40 or 50 that were there just to encourage and incite these behaviors. Broke windows to let people in themselves. They broke windows themselves. There's videos of this. I should probably try to find some and pull it up. But they do stuff like that. The whole BLM stuff. They fund that. Antifa, they fund that. And what does it do? What do? They go to these cities. We just had some kind of attack just recently where they go to these cities and they literally promote fear. That is their whole objective. And they get paid to do this. It's not like it's just someone like me and you that has a job and we have to work every day. And most of the time we don't have time to spend a lot of our energy on politics or these kind of ideas. So someone like me that spends a lot of time reading about it and we have great people in our communities on YouTube and Rumble and all these platforms, Michael Knowles, all people at Daily Wire, Isabel Brown, these people that talk about these things, because again, we have too many things to worry about, but these people are paid to go here. They have all the time and energy in the world to promote fear, to promote ignorance, to promote just everything. I don't even know what that even word is, okay? Just bear with me. I'm learning. I'm speaking in tongues sometimes, but this is the bottom of it all, okay? They believe people are bad, okay? And I've gotten into an argument with a liberal before, with a Dem, that's just not true. We believe people are good. I believe that people are inherently good, and that we just learned. All this behavior is learned, and we have to reverse it with the liberal ideology, because we have to embrace our true freedom, which means that we get to do whatever we want. We get to do whatever we want. No, that's not how it works, okay? That is not how it works. If God wanted us to do whatever we want, he wouldn't have given us the Bible. He wouldn't have given us Jesus. He wouldn't have given us all the rules of the land. So what is the answer there? What is the answer? Are people good or bad? Here's the answer. We were all created equal by God, right? Bear with me. We're all made in God's image, right? So we are all capable of living with God in heaven. We are all capable of good. We were simply born into this broken world, which has original sin. The idea of original sin is that we are born with concupiscence. We are born with this kind of prerequisite that we sin. We are born sinners. That is the understanding of the Catholic Church. That is the understanding of why things are the way they are. We're born into a flawed world, meaning that things are going to happen to us, even if we live the right way all the time. But also that even kids, when they come up, they say all the bad behavior is learned. Well, a lot of it can be, but we're not just animals. We have spirit, we have souls. And so our reason and our intellect kind of clash with our bodies sometimes, with our fleshly desires. So in order to navigate this, we have to look outside of ourselves sometimes. We have to look outside of the flesh. That's why they say the flesh is weak, but the soul is willing. Because it's not that the flesh doesn't matter, it's that we have to work in tandem with each other. So people are capable of good or bad. What is true freedom? It's not doing whatever you want. True freedom is living how God made you. Because again, like I just said, God made us all in his image. God made us all the same in his image. And so we can either deny that, we have the privilege to choose not to accept that. And I don't even know if that's a privilege, if that's the right word, but it's an option. You can do whatever you want. You can do wrong. You can do what we all agree is wrong. You can murder somebody. You can steal. You can commit adultery. You can have other gods. You can do whatever you want. But does that mean it's true or conducive to your flourishing? We are contingent beings by complete nature. If you stop eating, you will die. That means we are contingent on certain realities. And so we are just as contingent on God as we are having food and shelter on this earth. So understanding that, we understand that our whole mission, and this is what I'm going to close with, our whole mission is to pick a side, is to pick God's side, and find that out for what it will. Find it out wherever it is in your life, whatever you have, whatever issue is most prominent for you, it bothers you the most, go deep into it. Don't stop at the surface level justifications for anything. Don't stop at shallowness for anything. If there's something that's on your mind, all you got to do is say, God, help me figure this out. Even if you don't really think God is there listening to you, if you don't really have a firm prayer life, just do it anyway. Because again, just like this whole thing is trying to explain, it matters and it exists. God is there. He's always there reaching out for you. You just have to reach back. We have that ability to choose. And so we have an obligation to pick a side. We should always pick God first. We should always pick God first. But we should also decide based on some of these principles, some of these values, what aligns with God more? What do you think God will want us to do more according to what he said and what he taught while he was on earth? I would just give you that to think about. And I appreciate you all tuning in and watching the videos. I'm sorry yesterday's video was a little bit slow and sloppy. I'm going to get better and better. Today's video was probably a little bit sloppy, but I just have to get better at talking, so I am going to start these videos and just keep going and try to keep myself on the rails and just keep the conversation flowing. I want to get my points across, but I also want to get better at articulation. So I appreciate you all tuning in. My name is Andrew. This is the Horizon Podcast, and please tune in next time. Let's see, Instagram is Horizon Podcasts, or it should be the Horizon Podcast Show. YouTube, you're on here now, but that is youtube.com/Horizon Podcast, God's Medium. I've had to choose a bunch of different names because it was all taken, so we'll figure this all out, but I'm going to leave links below for all of my social medias. That's where all the clips are going to be posted. And if you're here from that, I really appreciate it. But like I said, my name's Andrew, and thanks for watching.